Said, oh, I found this great marketing firm in Santa Monica.
I'm more what you see is what you get, while Ania will get to know someone, ask more questions, is more patient. I was just going in circles because I was super nervous.
Yeah.
I never bought a house before. The place was a complete dump.
Oh my God. You just got to be a great agent and be able to know what you do best and know what everybody else does best and let everybody play their role.
Hello again. I am Clark Vautier. I am a marketing consultant and entrepreneur and investor. And here I am with my good friends, Michael and Ania. I've spoken to you both. We have a sense of your background. I just want to go straight to some key questions here. Ania, what was your first impression of Michael?
Personality, A-type personality. I think that sums it up in one word.
Yeah.
Or one statement.
And so tell us how you met.
We met because we were procuring his services. Michael had a marketing firm, and I had a real estate project that was for the website. Basically, it was beyond the scope of what a real estate agent and a designer could do. It was actually a pretty complex project. I thought it would be really, really helpful for clients, and because of my passion for small mom and pop multifamily, it was creating an understandable calculator for beginners to invest in multifamily properties, small mom and pop. Anyways, it was beyond the scope of what we can do, and my old business partner said, oh, I found this great marketing firm in Santa Monica. I walked by it and we have a meeting on Tuesday. I said, great. So we went, we met Michael. We told him what the project was. Said,
You met in person. That was your first
we met in person.
Okay.
He said he'd get us a bid, and he said, by the way, I'm in the market for a duplex. And I said, great. Where? And he said, West Adams area. Have you heard of it? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So you should hire us. This is my specialty. I mean, you're actually creating a calculator for this. And he said, well, you know, I know a lot of agents. And I said, okay. Well, a few months later, I actually found what he was looking for off market. And I was like, sign that buyer's agreement right now because you're going to want this property. And so then I became his agent. But he did end up doing the project for us.
So just tell us, fill in the gap. So from first meeting, you hired him. He did your
the project.
Marketing. And so you were keeping in touch with him along the way?
Yes, regarding the project. And then secretly, I was looking for what he wanted just because I have a lot of connections in the area that he wanted. And I found it.
And so just going back to the question, first impression. Your first impression was type A.
Type A.
What else?
He's going to be a hard customer to get to sign to sign on the dotted line. But I said, you know, he's reasonable.
And then how did your impression change from first impression to once you got to know him?
Michael, the one thing that I didn't fully understand from the first face was how kind and generous he is. And
he hides that well.
yeah, no, I mean, how warm Michael is in real life. He is warm and fuzzy. He's as warm and fuzzy as me, actually. It was a little surprising because the way that he presents just on the face is warm and fuzzy enough, friendly, but not really deep. You don't see that right away, but it comes out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So,
That's great. Mike, same question for you. What was your first impression of Ania?
I don't remember it that well. What I would say, what I've learned is Ania's just a very caring person, very empathetic, not to a fault, but in a way that I'm not intuitive like that. So that's a big difference between us. I'm more what you see is what you get.
Yep.
While Ania will get to know someone, ask more questions, is more patient. So that's kind of what I've discovered. And what I learned, this is partly, I think that we both had business partners prior, is not trying to mold her into my ideal, but really try to amplify her superpowers.
Yep.
And so, but she's responsive to it, and I'm also responsive to feedback. So in the end, but what I do look back on, and partly why I knew that working with her would be a good decision, is she was so patient with me. Oh my God. I would look at the phone and 40 minutes have gone by. I didn't say one constructive thing. I was just going in circles because I was super nervous.
Yeah.
I never bought a house before. The place was a complete dump.
Oh my God. Yeah,
give you a good example.
I remember.
Give you a good example during the construction. My good friend, actually, Brian, came by and he thought he had a big project on his hands. He walks in the front door and he can see through to the back of the house. There was no walls. He's like, oh, I guess I got it easy. And so my general contractor who got the job done, he said, hey, it's going to rain soon. What do you want to do about the hole in the roof? Like, what hole in the roof? Within a matter of 3 days, we put a new roof on.
Amazing.
So you had to be very responsive. So I think that was just what I remembered was this patience and also the expertise. I would say Ania's more talented when it comes to, like, gifted when it comes to real estate. I am perhaps more organized.
Yeah.
And so it's a good team. I don't know, I can't remember every street or every person, but I can make sure that once we decide to lock on what we're going to do, it will get done.
And that seems to be the beauty of your relationship. It's very complimentary. What surprised you about her as you got to know her?
What keeps surprising me is she's actually good at numbers and good at being organized, and she doesn't reveal it very often. Like when she actually figures out ChatGPT, I'm like, why am I? Or when she looks at the financials and is really intuitive. That sometimes surprises me that she's actually quite analytical.
Yeah.
But I would say that equally analytical, but it's not the default setting. But now, as I mentioned, I think it's hysterical that we're in partnership on the potential purchase of an 8-unit building. So from a calculator 6+ years ago about how
Oh,
to
that's
invest in real
such a good
estate,
point.
we are now potentially going to put in action the calculator that brought us together to buy something in the neighborhood that we first discussed.
I love how that works.
I didn't even think of that. That is so beautiful. Oh,
And
that brings
something else
tears.
that just has come up for me, I've been listening to this book, and it talks about the power. What separates great companies from good companies is the ability, it's to embrace and not or. I feel like you both touched on this. It's if you were just to pigeonhole each other and say, well, you have this strength, I have that strength, you would limit each other. And so basically what you're acknowledging, it's like, hey, she's a great relationship person, but she's also good with other stuff. It's a yes and. Ania, what's something that Mike doesn't know about you?
I'm not good at hiding things.
Ania was an athlete, and that's something that kind of comes out.
I was an athlete.
I was not. I mean,
But you know that about her.
I do, but these are some of the surprises after sitting in the car for probably 500 collective hours. But maybe there's another surprise.
No.
Okay.
No.
Mike, what is something Ania doesn't know about you?
Yeah.
My goodness. We're like cops. We're just sitting in the car constantly patrolling the streets, eating donuts. Literally what we do a lot of times. Like, should we park here? Let's park here and wait. How about around the corner? I know a good coffee shop. Not all cops talk like that. I don't know. I'm not positive. But I used to salsa dance, not well.
Ooh.
But that was something I did long enough that I'm good enough that people are surprised, but not good enough to impress anybody.
Yep.
That might be it.
You don't talk about your architecture much.
I'm working on it.
Oh.
Do your clients know about your architecture?
It's something that I want to bring into the fold. I just actually went to an event where everybody was in real estate, so I jokingly said I'm a triple threat. I'm a realtor, investor, architect. But the reality is I am a licensed architect, but I'm a coach at this point. Don't put me on the field. I can talk to it. I can see it. But the day-to-day practicality, what makes a great architect is not just designing it, but getting it through the finish line. But it's something I want to develop more. It's something I care about, and what I would say my strength, and I think a lot about my thesis on how to invest in multifamily real estate, which is another topic, is value add. And value add is the visual relationship to the building. What can you do to make it better? It's both architecture, interior design, landscaping. Ania has a background in that. And so I get to apply that every single day, and I need to definitely talk about it more.
Now,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Now, obviously, you're at different levels of experience. Ania, how many years now? 10+ years.
Yes.
Mike, you just celebrated 1 year. Great milestone. I'd like to hear from both of you individually. What makes a great realtor? Ania.
Ability to apply your strength and give away all the rest of the jobs to very talented people to know who that is. And I think that's what we're doing. That's what we're in the process of doing. That's what I think makes the best agent. Sometimes with leads, which is people who would like to engage in business with you, I think that people who have a stronger database in the first place, even if it's not a real estate, but a stronger database of people who actually own real estate and transact a lot, sometimes they are trustworthy to you, can succeed faster.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you just got to be a great agent and be able to know what you do best and know what everybody else does best and let everybody play their role.
So just to kind of reframe the question a little bit, when advising a new client, let's say someone who's never purchased, this is their first time purchase, right? How do you counsel them? What do you tell them to look for in an agent?
Someone that speaks to them, someone that they trust. Like, know, and trust are the three things that you should look for in a realtor, and that's somewhat intuitive. Now, some people are more analytical. I also have, surprisingly, very analytical clients. Earlier this year or last year, a wife of a husband who has transacted several times. We represented them as a buyer, and she has said, I have never in my 30 years of doing this with him seen him pay not just full price, actually offer over full price based on the advice of a real estate agent. She couldn't believe it. She said, ask me how I did it.
Yeah.
And he was extremely analytical person. So I presented him numbers, not intuition. He gave me a formula. I plugged it in and said, this is the way the numbers work. If you want to use this, then, and you want the property, I mean, I can play it all day, but you're competing against other people. And I think that the ability to apply that to different types of personalities and understand that is incredibly important.
Meet the client where they're at. So, Mike, same question. What makes a great realtor? And I'll just sort of give some color to that. You're a year in. One of the tricky things with any profession is to forget about the beginner mindset.
Sure.
You were a beginner. You just talked about your first experience with Ania. You were nervous. You were a first time home buyer. You were nervous. It was very reassuring. 40 minutes to go by on the phone. So, with that context, what makes a great realtor?
I want to jump back. So one, I'm always nervous buying a property. I'm nervous right now. Okay. Secondly, shout out to one of our favorite clients, Debbie and Glenn. We were there for dinner, and I'll simply say, clients love Ania. They like me.
No.
I'm just being honest. And the reason is we really try to understand what they're trying to do deeply. Like, what is this dream? This home, it may be your forever home, and it needs to hold all your hopes and wishes to a degree. I want it to be spacious. I want to be able to host parties. I want to be able to have my family there. I want to be able to babysit my grandchildren. I want a pool. I want a barbecue. I love wine. And so all these small things get wrapped into navigating hundreds of properties. And then on top of it, being tenacious enough to stick with something. We saw a property that was way over their budget. And through tenacity, time, and patience, Ania was able to get it down so significantly. And it was still worked out, right? Everybody got what they wanted. Another agent, that would never have happened.
Yeah.
Period. I really, really mean that because people forget. Ania doesn't forget. And I'm similar, is that keeping the conversation open and keeping the dialogue open reveals things. So that's one thing, like, I like to get off the phone quickly. And when I realize the longer you listen, the more you learn. So slow down.
Yes.
And then obviously, my first client dinner, this is a shout out to the Philippines, they gave us a bonus. Okay? That does not happen very often from what I understand. And so I was so thrilled that the time, effort, after seeing 60 properties, unsolicited someone to recognize that we went above and beyond, reminded me that we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So what makes a good realtor? In my mind, you have to know the product, which I think a lot of people don't. They don't really, really love real estate. We know people that don't go open houses. You need to know people or just sit at a desk all day long. Secondly, have some differentiator. It could be anything. It could be your love of cars. It could be your love of architecture. You need to deepen your relationship. It could simply be a big part of where your children go to school. And then lastly, I guess you need to amplify your message. You need to know as many people as possible. You do not need to be on social media. You do not need to be very articulate even. Any age, anybody can do it. I'm impressed. The number of agents in our firm, our office at Compass, I think we're at least in the not number one, in the top 5, every walk of life. So to me, that's what I think is empowering, is that there is no one mold. Everybody thinks, you look at what's on TV, that's just a sliver of what a successful agent. Some people are very quiet, you don't even know their name.
That's great. So you guys, you've established you're a great team.
Mm-hmm.
You've had a great year, great results. What are you looking to work on in 2026?
What we were saying earlier, what we were chatting about, Michael and I are in the process of developing a team. So the next steps are adding members, whether that be administrative or another agent. That's really the next steps.
The word of the year for me is amplification, and Ania's going to be sucked up into that. So what a good example is leverage buying this property. If we are able to make it happen, it gives us the opportunity to expand and leverage what we're doing and develop our expertise together as a team, which I think is great. Secondly, also building a team. So if you want to join Amre, reach out. And lastly, like what we do. I don't want a job that I hate. And I think a lot of people build a job they hate in service in hope of making a lot of money. And then they have to keep doing that job they hate to keep making money, to buy stuff they don't really need. And then to afford that, they keep doing it. So
The vicious cycle.
So enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's right. Build something that is enjoyable. I think that's extremely important to remember, because if then, you asked what the why is earlier. Maybe I shouldn't even say who, what, where, when, and why. Maybe the actual word is just joy, to have a joyful day. It is joyful sometimes to lose an escrow. Not in the moment, but it's joyful when you rise on the other end of that into another transaction. Appreciation for that is really, really important.
You can design your day, which makes it also difficult. As a realtor, you can design your day, which means sometimes you don't know what to do. And understanding that there's some flexibility and mobility in how you do it. One of our favorite agents we work with is Jeff Sod, and he doesn't work on Saturdays, I believe. And if anyone who asks, like, oh, that's impossible, you can't do this as a realtor, it's like, guess what? My clients are self-selecting. If they insist on me being available the day I'm not, we're not a good fit. And so it's a reminder that you can develop whatever strategy you want, and you attract the type of clients that you get. If you're willing to tolerate someone that will call you all hours of the night or be a bully or demanding of your time, well, that's a choice you made. And until the deal closes, they're not your client. I think that's a misconception. I lost a client. You didn't lose anything. They went in a different direction because you weren't the right fit. So ultimately, I'm not sure I'm answering the question. Just, you got to still enjoy what you're doing. And I think you can do that really in any career, but you got to reinforce every day. You got to make that choice to make it fun and enjoyable. And we do. Like, we make time for lunch. We make time to look at gorgeous homes, even though we're not necessarily looking for one for a buyer. Why not? I mean, it's fun.
Well, you're also learning, and it's actually, I think, required, because you are trend casting at that point. You need to know what the newest materials, the newest items that people are using in these new builds. So
True.
I think it's important.
So we've talked a lot about what makes a great realtor. What makes a bad realtor?
Lazy.
We have two more questions. I don't want to end on that, but let's answer it.
One word is lazy.
What other mistakes have you seen realtors make?
Not focused. Saying yes to too many things. Saying yes to everything, including the latest convention, going to California Association of Realtor lunch, just being unfocused or being lazy.
Mine is being unresponsive because people, and a whole long conversation about homes just don't sell themselves, is that everything is still people. And if you reach out to a realtor and they're curt or not helpful, we move on. Now, again, if we really like the property, we'll fight. But if you're not going to be accommodating to us, then that's a reflection of the intent of your seller. To me, you're a reflection a little bit of your seller. And so therefore, when we reach out to an agent and they're not responsive, we keep looking. So if your agent does not, and I'm not saying constantly, but are they follow up? Do they acknowledge a request? I think that's, if I can give one basic point of advice, I used to make this mistake. I would not respond to a client, but I would get the job done 2 days later. They weren't happy. They would rather me have taken 20 seconds saying, I'm on it, it will be done in 2 days. Matter of fact, they would be fine if I said it'd be done in 4 days. They wanted to know what was happening.
So communicate, manage expectations. Last question for you. Kind of the big elephant in the room for real estate. How do you manage expectations around pricing?
I think you just have to you marry your analytics, your empathy. I think that in Los Angeles, because every piece is so unique, it's not a cookie cutter neighborhood. I'd have a lot easier time pricing Santa Clarita with the new model townhomes, because they're very similar. But I also am not a crystal ball. I don't know if we're going to get a huge rush of buyers, of 50 of them looking for a townhouse 1 month because they just decided to move there. We can do our best predictions. We do need to pay attention to the news. We do need to pay attention to anything that would trigger motivations for buyers or sellers, either way, up or down. And then we apply logic to that. That's the best that we can do. But pricing is an art, and if you're a seller, you need to hire an agent who has a deep knowledge of who the buyer is for that particular product. And I think you're good after that.
Anything to add, Mike?
I would say two things. On the seller side, work with a good agent to understand your marketing your property as best as possible. People have a limited amount of time, and therefore they will skip your property potentially if it's not marketed properly. That's how it goes. You will skip things. Like, go to the market. Do you look at the bottom shelf? Rarely. Could be good stuff there. Secondly, when you're buying a property, I have to LA is a prohibitively expensive city, but there are options. The likelihood of you getting your first home in Santa Monica, unless you have a lot of money, is unlikely. So you have to make a little bit of a sacrifice in service of owning a home if you want. There are a lot of ways to get into a home that you can, different type of loan products. It's not one size fits all. My simple suggestion is, if you're ready to buy a home you can afford, that you feel good about buying. Don't overextend yourself. I don't think that's a good strategy. Knowing that if you believe in LA and you like the city, then it will keep appreciating. And even if it doesn't every year, this is a 5, 10, 20-year decision. And lastly, I'd rather love my home and not, if the same amount of money would perform better owning a stock, I don't care. Because the stock makes me happy one day when I sell it. A home makes me happy every day when I go.
Great way to end. Great chatting with you
Yeah.
both.
Thank you, Clark.
Thank you,
Wishing
Clark.
all the best.
You're the best.
Let's do lunch.
Lunchtime.
Lunch.
Oh, we're going to go to the Chateau Marmont,
Yes.
a place people come from all over the city, and we just get to go across the street and have a meal with celebrities. So, haha.